Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Filipino family importance is growing on me. It was probably after I married my Filipina in 2015 that I began to pick up on the idea that family is very important in the Philippines. I knew basically nothing about the Philippines when I married my wife, not even where to find it on a map. But I wanted a good wife, and I got one. Today's video is about the impact, the significance of family in the Philippines has had on me. Please subscribe here to Love Beyond the Sea, and as time goes by, we will cover as many things as possible that pertain to a foreigner and Filipino relationship. Feel free to leave a comment and get notifications for upcoming videos. Family is a top priority to a Filipino, so it's helpful to learn what you can about this dynamic as you look for a Filipina to marry. The family unit in the Philippines is where my wife could be understood, accepted, protected, supported, made to feel secure, and loved. There are families in America where I am that have similar qualities, and it may be that Filipinos take it all to a higher level. Here are some ways Filipino family importance is growing on me. Well, let's start with respect for family. It starts at the top with the desire to honor their father and mother, which is a biblical command and a wonderful thing. I admit that my personal honoring of my father and mother was not very good, and since meeting my wife, it seems even worse now. My father passed away a long time ago, but my mother does live with us, so I do have a chance for some redemption. Isa has been a great addition to our small family here in America, fitting in seamlessly. Sometimes she will tell me to do something for my mom and always asks my mother if she wants some of the food we bought. For example, wants me to share something with her, even if I don't. Now I know where she got her good manners from. Her family. By the way, her parents were married for over 30 years. Another thing, shared wisdom. Just think about all the wisdom a Filipina could acquire with so many family members in her life. As often as they spend time together, they could acquire much good advice. We had a lot of principal sponsors at our wedding, and I got to know two of them, a married couple, well enough to be able to keep in touch if I have needed advice. And I have sought for some now and then. Another thing is helping each other as a family. This is a positive trait that gets the most negative feedback from a foreigner seeking a Filipina, at least when sending money back home to the Philippines is involved. It's ingrained in the culture that she will support her family. She has to. If she is working abroad or not, she will face shame if she doesn't. Foreign men need to know this. In some cases, there's a tremendous pressure put on the one working overseas. Again, a Westerner must understand this. This is just one way of helping others in the family. It tends to get all the headlines, but it is only one of the many ways they try to help each other. If help is needed, building something, they pull together, or to cook for a big event, or to repair something, they will help in any way they can. I have seen this firsthand in the 4 times that I have been to the Philippines. Since I am not used to that in the U.S., it leaves a big impression on me. Another way is debt of gratitude to their elders. This is more readily seen in how a Filipina wants to be good to Mama and Papa, but it goes for other elders too. This may apply to an older foreigner. The elderly in the Philippines normally can die with family around them, and that's the way I would want it. And speaking of that, grieving lost loved ones. I've noticed a couple of times where the body of a deceased relative remains in the family member's house for a certain number of days before the burial. I still remember being kind of shocked when I saw that, and I wasn't expecting it for the first time. And I found this about Philippine wakes and vigils. This is from somewhere on the internet. Wakes are generally held from 3 to 7 days. Provincial wakes are usually held in the home, while city dwellers typically display their dead at a funeral home. And that caught me off guard. We'd seen someone, we went to their house, and someone my wife knew, they had lost a relative But I can see that it reveals something about the importance of family in the Philippines. Also, large get-togethers. Excuse me. Now, it seems like large family get-togethers usually occur only during some holidays, but that isn't needed in the Philippines. When in the Philippines, that would be an excellent way to get to know some relatives, with these get-togethers. Hospitality. Throughout a day at a Filipina's house, many relatives may come and go. I am simply not used to that, sad to say, but this is something to know about a Filipino family. It's a good thing, but it could make it a little difficult to spend much time alone with the Filipina you want to get to know, if you're spending a lot of time at her family's. On the other hand, is a great way to get to know her relatives, and there are some things you can pick up just from observing her and her family interacting together. Extended family, a lot of togetherness and sense of belonging exists within families in the Philippines. Also, attending church together. I have read that many families in the Philippines attend church together, which is wonderful, and they know their neighbors. This last bonus point isn't family related, but it goes with the quality of hospitality and Filipino friendliness. I think it's great that Filipinos know their neighbors. When I grew up back in the 60s, families would walk around the neighborhood, sometimes visit each other on the front porch. You'd sit out there in the front porch, drinking coffee or whatever, maybe playing some music. Those were the days. And everyone felt safe, by the way. You knew your neighbors, but not so much today. Houses are built farther apart, and some people want to live out in the country. When my wife first got here, she said, she looked around and said, "Where are all the people? Where are the neighbors?" And I said, "Well, they're probably inside, That isn't the impression, though, I get when visiting the Philippines. But I admit the homes are also much closer together. But what impresses me is just being able to know your neighbors, and I look forward to doing that if we should ever retire there someday. I lived in apartments for many, many years, and in an apartment, you tend to come home, shut the door, lock the door. Sometimes your neighbors won't even open the door if you knock on it to ask them, to borrow something or ask them a question. Filipino family values continue to grow on me ever since I married my love beyond the sea.